The silk throw pillow felt cool against Destiny Clark's cheek as she lay perfectly still on Simone's cream-colored sofa. Her heart hammered so loud she was sure everyone in the living room could hear it, but she kept her breathing slow and steady. The afternoon sun streamed through the bay windows of the suburban Atlanta home, casting golden shadows across the hardwood floors where gift wrap and ribbon lay scattered like confetti after the bridal shower celebration. She had only meant to rest her eyes for a moment after helping clean up. The day had been perfect, just like Simone always dreamed. Pink and gold decorations hung from every corner, the smell of her mama's famous pound cake still lingered in the air, and laughter had filled every room of the house for hours. Destiny's feet ached from running around in her heels, making sure every detail was just right for her best friend's special day. But now, lying there with her eyes closed, pretending to sleep, she wished she had never heard the conversation that was about to change everything. "She's finally quiet," came Simone's voice from the kitchen, just loud enough to carry into the living room. "I thought Destiny would never stop fussing over every little thing today." Destiny's stomach dropped. She and Simone had been inseparable since they were 7 years old, growing up just 2 houses apart on Peachtree Street. They had shared everything, first days of school, teenage heartbreaks, college struggles, and now this wedding planning that had consumed the last 8 months of their lives. "Girl, you know how she is," replied Candace, Simone's cousin who had been helping coordinate the wedding. "Always trying to be the perfect friend, the perfect daughter, the perfect everything. It's exhausting just watching her." The words hit Destiny like a slap. She had spent the entire day making sure Simone felt loved and celebrated. She had organized the shower, coordinated with 23 guests, baked 3 dozen cupcakes from scratch, and even drove 2 hours to pick up the custom decorations when the delivery fell through. "I love her, I really do," Simone continued, and Destiny held her breath, hoping this was leading somewhere better. "But sometimes I feel like I can't breathe around her anymore. She's been planning this wedding like it's her own. Did you see how she practically took over when my cousin brought those yellow flowers instead of the peach ones?" Candace agreed. "And the way she kept checking her little notebook every 5 minutes, making sure everything was exactly how you wanted it. Like, relax girl, it's just a shower." Destiny's eyes burned behind her closed lids. That little notebook had taken her weeks to put together. She had written down every detail Simone had mentioned wanting, from the specific shade of pink napkins to the playlist of songs from their high school days. She thought she was being helpful, being the best maid of honor she could be. "The thing is," Simone's voice dropped lower, and Destiny had to strain to hear, "I don't even know if I want her as my maid of honor anymore." The words hit Destiny's chest like a physical blow. She bit down on her tongue to keep from gasping out loud. "What do you mean?" Candace asked. "I mean, look at today." She turned my shower into her own personal production. Every conversation she was right there. Every photo she made sure she was in the perfect spot. It's supposed to be about me, but somehow it became the Destiny show again. Again? It's always been like this. Even in high school, remember homecoming senior year? I was so excited about finally being nominated for court, and she spent the whole night telling everyone about her college applications and her scholarship interviews. She didn't even realize she was stealing my moment. Destiny remembered that night completely differently. She had been so proud of Simone for making homecoming court that she wanted everyone to know how amazing her best friend was. And yes, she had talked about college that night, but only because people kept asking her about her plans after someone mentioned her grades. "So what are you going to do?" Candace asked. There was a long pause, and Destiny could hear her own heartbeat in her ears. "I'm thinking about asking my sister to be my maid of honor instead," Simone finally said. "She lives in California, so she hasn't been able to help with much, but maybe that's better. She won't try to take over everything." "But what about Destiny? Y'all have been best friends forever." "I know, and that's what makes this so hard. But I want my wedding day to actually be about me and David, not about managing Destiny's feelings and making sure she doesn't overwhelm everyone with her perfectionist thing." Destiny felt tears sliding down her cheeks onto the pillow. She wanted to jump up, to defend herself, to ask Simone why she never said any of this to her face. Instead, she lay frozen, listening to her entire friendship crumble in real time. "When would you tell her?" Candace asked. "I was thinking maybe next week. After she gets over the high of today being perfect." Simone used air quotes around the word perfect, and Destiny could hear the eye roll in her voice. "I just need to figure out how to do it without completely destroying her." "That's going to be rough. She's been posting about being your maid of honor for months. All those pictures of y'all wedding dress shopping, the bachelorette party planning." I know. But I can't keep pretending everything is fine when it's not." This is my wedding and I deserve to have the day I actually want, not the day Destiny thinks I should want. Footsteps moved across the kitchen floor, and Destiny heard the refrigerator open and close. Plus, Simone continued, there's something else I haven't told you. What? David mentioned that at the engagement party last month, Destiny cornered his college roommate for like an hour, asking him all these personal questions about his job and his family. The poor guy looked so uncomfortable, but she just kept going. David said it was embarrassing. Oh no. Right? And that's not even the worst part. She gave him her business card and told him she was always networking for new opportunities. At my engagement party. Like, could you not turn my celebration into a job interview? Destiny's cheeks burned with shame. She remembered that conversation completely differently. David's roommate Kevin had seemed interested in her marketing work, and she thought they were having a nice professional chat. She had no idea anyone saw it as inappropriate or pushy. I just don't know who she's become, Simone said sadly. The Destiny I grew up with was fun and spontaneous. This version of her has to control every situation and make sure everyone knows how successful and put together she is. It's like she's performing all the time instead of just being herself. Maybe you should just talk to her about it, Candace suggested gently. How do you tell your best friend that they're suffocating you? That their idea of helping feels like being managed? That you're tired of feeling like a supporting character in your own life when they're around? The questions hung in the air, and Destiny felt each one settle into her chest like a stone. She thought about all the times over the past months when she had jumped in to handle wedding details, assuming Simone would be grateful for the help. She thought about every conversation where she had offered advice or suggestions, believing she was being supportive. Had she really been that overwhelming? That controlling? Maybe start with small boundaries, Candace was saying. Like, tell her you want to handle the final dress fitting yourself, or that you want to write your own vows without her input. See, that's the thing. I shouldn't have to set boundaries with my best friend about my own wedding. She should just know. But she doesn't, and I don't think she ever will. The kitchen fell quiet except for the sound of dishes clinking in the sink. Destiny lay there, her body stiff with the effort of staying perfectly still, her mind racing through years of memories and wondering how many times she had missed the signs that she was being too much. I love her, Simone said again, and this time her voice sounded tired. But I need my wedding to feel like mine. And right now, it feels like I'm a guest at the event Destiny is throwing for me. More footsteps and then Candace's voice. Whatever you decide to do, you need to do it soon. The wedding's in 6 weeks, and if you're going to change your maid of honor, your sister's going to need time to get here for the dress fitting and rehearsal. I know. I'll figure something out. What about the bachelorette party? Destiny's been planning that for months. That's another problem. She booked us this whole weekend in Savannah with activities scheduled down to the hour. Wine tasting, historic tours, a fancy dinner reservation. Sounds exhausting. I just wanted to go to a spa and relax with my girls, but she said that was too basic for my bachelorette. Destiny remembered that conversation too. She had thought Simone seemed disappointed with the spa idea, so she had tried to plan something more special, more memorable. She had spent hours researching activities and making reservations, using her own credit card to hold everything because she wanted it to be her gift to Simone. You could still change it, Candace said. With what money? She already put deposits down on everything. And if I cancel now, I'll look like the ungrateful friend who didn't appreciate all her hard work. The irony wasn't lost on Destiny. Even Simone's complaints about her were wrapped up in gratitude and guilt. She had created a situation where Simone felt trapped by her generosity. This is such a mess, Simone sighed. It doesn't have to be. You just need to be honest with her. Easy for you to say. You don't have 21 years of friendship to potentially throw away. 21 years. Destiny could trace every year of it from the day 7-year-old Simone had moved in 2 doors down and they had spent the entire summer riding bikes and playing in the sprinkler in Destiny's backyard. First day of middle school when they both wore the same purple shirt by accident and decided they were meant to be best friends forever. High school graduation where they cried together about going to different colleges. Simone's father's funeral 3 years ago when Destiny had driven through the night to be there, holding her friend while she sobbed. All of that history, and now Simone was ready to demote her from maid of honor because she was too helpful, too involved, too much. I should probably go check on her, Simone said. Make sure she's comfortable on that couch. Panic shot through Destiny's body. She quickly adjusted her position slightly, making sure her breathing stayed deep and even. She heard footsteps approaching the living room. Destiny? Simone's voice was soft now, the frustrated edge gone. Girl, you can't sleep on this couch all day. Destiny made a small stirring sound, like she was just waking up, and slowly opened her eyes. Simone was standing beside the sofa, looking down at her with a gentle smile that made Destiny's heart ache. Hey, Destiny mumbled, stretching like she had been deeply asleep. How long was I out? About 20 minutes. You must have been more tired than you thought. 20 minutes. That's how long it had taken for her entire world to shift. Sorry, I didn't mean to crash your couch like that. I was just going to rest my eyes for a second. Destiny sat up, smoothing down her hair and hoping her face didn't show any trace of the tears she had shed. Don't apologize, you've been running around all day taking care of everyone else. You earned a nap. Simone's voice was warm and familiar, the same voice that had told Destiny secrets and shared dreams for over 2 decades. Did I miss anything exciting? Destiny asked, testing the waters. Nah, just boring cleanup stuff. Candace helped me put the gifts in the bedroom and I think we got most of the mess handled. The lies came so easily. Destiny wondered how many other conversations like the one she had just overheard had happened when she wasn't around to hear them. Good. Destiny stood up, suddenly needing to be anywhere but in this room where her friendship had just died. I should probably get going soon. I know you're tired and you probably want some time to decompress. You don't have to leave yet, Simone said, but there was something in her tone that suggested she wouldn't mind if Destiny did. No, it's fine. I have some work stuff to catch up on anyway. The lie felt bitter on her tongue, but she needed an excuse to escape before she broke down completely. Okay, if you're sure. But thank you again for everything today. The shower was absolutely perfect. Perfect. There was that word again. I'm just happy you had a good time, Destiny said, and meant it despite everything. You deserve to be celebrated. They hugged, and for a moment, Destiny let herself pretend that nothing had changed. Simone smelled like the vanilla perfume she had worn since college, and her arms felt the same as they always had. But now Destiny knew this might be one of their last hugs as best friends, and the knowledge made her want to hold on longer. I love you, girl, Simone said as they separated. I love you too, Destiny replied, and wondered if love was enough when you had apparently suffocated someone with it. She gathered her purse and the empty casserole dish she had brought, said goodbye to Candace and walked out to her car. The late afternoon Georgia heat hit her immediately, but she sat in her Honda Civic for several minutes before starting the engine, staring at the house where her best friend lived and trying to process what had just happened. Her phone buzzed with a text from her mother. How was the shower, baby? I'm sure you made it beautiful for Simone. Destiny stared at the message, then typed back, It was perfect, Mama. Just perfect. As she drove home through the familiar streets of her neighborhood, Destiny's mind raced with questions. How long had Simone felt this way? How many other people thought she was too controlling, too overwhelming? Had she really become someone she didn't recognize? The worst part wasn't even losing the maid of honor position. It was the possibility that she had lost herself somewhere along the way, and lost her best friend in the process. But as the shock began to wear off, something else started to grow in its place. Not anger exactly, but a kind of determined sadness. If Simone thought she was too much, then maybe it was time to show her what too little looked like. After 21 years of friendship, Destiny was about to find out who she was when she stopped trying to be perfect for everyone else. Destiny's apartment felt smaller than usual when she walked through the door. The silence that greeted her was different from the comfortable quiet she usually enjoyed after long days. This silence felt heavy, pressing against her chest and making it hard to breathe. She set her keys on the kitchen counter and stared at the space around her, the neat bookshelves, the carefully arranged photos, the fresh flowers she replaced every week, and wondered if this too was evidence of her need to control everything. She kicked off her heels and padded to her bedroom, where wedding planning materials covered her desk like a shrine to someone else's happiness. Fabric swatches in peach and gold, vendor business cards arranged in neat stacks, timeline spreadsheets with every detail color-coded by importance. The binder she had created for Simone's wedding sat in the center of it all, 3 inches thick with dividers labeled ceremony, reception, vendor contacts, and emergency plans. Looking at it now, Destiny could see what Simone meant. It was a lot. Maybe too much. She pulled out her phone and scrolled through the photos from today's shower. There she was in almost every single one, her smile bright and practiced, her arm around Simone or positioned perfectly to show off the decorations she had spent weeks planning. In her memory, she had been documenting Simone's special day. But looking at the pictures now, she could see how it might look different to someone else. Her phone rang and her mother's name appeared on the screen. Hey Mama, Destiny answered, trying to keep her voice normal. Hey baby. I was just thinking about you and wanted to hear how the shower went. I know you put so much work into making it special for Simone. Regina Clark had the kind of warm voice that could make everything feel better, the voice that had sung lullabies and offered comfort through every disappointment of Destiny's life. But tonight, even her mother's love felt complicated. It went well, Destiny said carefully. Simone seemed happy with everything. Of course she did. You have such a gift for making people feel loved and celebrated. Remember when you planned that surprise party for me when I turned 50? I still think about how beautiful that was, how you remembered every little detail that mattered to me. The memory should have made Destiny smile, but instead it made her stomach clench. Had that party been about her mother, or had it been about Destiny proving how thoughtful and perfect she could be? Mama, can I ask you something? Of course, baby. What's on your heart? Destiny sat down on her bed, holding the phone tighter. Do you think I'm too much sometimes? Too much what? Just too much. Too involved, too controlling, I don't know. Too everything. There was a pause, and in that pause, Destiny heard an entire conversation. Sweetheart, Regina said slowly, what brought this on? Just something someone said today. It got me thinking about how I am with people, and I'm wondering if I come across differently than I mean to. Who said something to you? Her mother's voice had that protective edge that Destiny remembered from childhood, when anyone dared to criticize her daughter. It doesn't matter who. I just want to know if you think I'm overwhelming sometimes. Another pause, longer this time. Destiny, you have the biggest heart of anyone I know. You love people by doing for them, by making sure they have everything they need and more. That's not a bad thing. But sometimes, baby, people need space to do things for themselves. To make their own mistakes, to have their own experiences without someone trying to make everything perfect for them. The words hit exactly where Destiny expected them to, confirming what she had already started to fear. So I am too much. You're not too much, you're just a lot of love in a small package. And some people don't know how to receive all that love without feeling overwhelmed by it. Destiny lay back on her bed, staring at the ceiling. How do you know when you're being helpful and when you're being controlling? That's a hard question, baby. I think it has to do with whether you're doing something because the other person asked you to, or because you think they need it. What if they need it but they're too polite to ask? Then you ask them if they want your help instead of just giving it. It sounded so simple when her mother said it, but Destiny thought about all the time she had jumped in to solve problems or make improvements without being asked. She had always thought she was being considerate, anticipating needs before they became urgent. Now she wondered if she had been steamrolling people with good intentions. Mama, do you remember Simone's engagement party last month? Of course. You looked beautiful in that blue dress. Do you remember me talking to David's friend Kevin? The tall young man? I remember you two chatting for a while. He seemed nice. Do you think I was inappropriate with him? Like too forward or pushy? Regina was quiet for a moment. Destiny, are you asking me this because someone told you that you were? Maybe. Baby, I watched you at that party and I saw you being your usual friendly self. You were asking questions about his work because that's what you do when you meet new people. You try to find common ground and make connections. That's not inappropriate, that's just being social. But what if he was uncomfortable and I didn't notice? Then that's on him to say something or step away from the conversation. You can't read minds and you can't be responsible for other people's comfort when you're just being polite. Destiny felt some of the tension in her chest loosen slightly. Her mother's perspective helped, but it didn't erase the knowledge that Simone and others saw her behavior as problematic. Mama, what if someone you love told you that the way you show love makes them feel suffocated? The question hung in the air between them, and Destiny could almost hear her mother's heart breaking a little. Oh, sweetheart. Did Simone say that to you? Destiny hadn't mentioned Simone by name, but of course her mother would know. Regina had watched the friendship grow from childhood, had hosted countless sleepovers and driven to countless events over the years. She probably knew better than anyone how deeply Destiny loved her best friend. Something like that. I'm sorry, baby. That must have hurt so much to hear. It did. It does. Destiny felt tears starting again. The thing is, Mama, I don't know how to love people differently. This is just who I am. I see something that needs doing and I do it. I see someone who could use help and I help them. I want the people I care about to have beautiful experiences, so I try to make things beautiful for them. And there's nothing wrong with any of that, Destiny. But maybe sometimes people want to make their own beautiful experiences, even if they're not as perfect as the ones you would create for them. So what am I supposed to do? Just stop caring? Stop helping? No, baby. You're supposed to ask before you help. You're supposed to listen when people tell you what they want, even if what they want is different from what you think they need. And what if what they want is for me to be less involved in their lives? Then you love them enough to give them that space even if it hurts. The words settled over Destiny like a blanket that was both comforting and suffocating. She understood what her mother was saying, but understanding and accepting were two different things. I think I need to make some changes, Destiny said quietly. What kind of changes? I think I need to step back from some things. Give people room to breathe. That might be wise, but don't lose yourself in the process. Don't become someone cold and distant just because someone told you that your warmth was too much. After they hung up, Destiny sat in her bedroom for a long time, thinking about the space between caring too much and not caring enough. She thought about all the relationships in her life and wondered how many other people felt suffocated by her attention. Her phone buzzed with a text from Simone. Thank you again for today. Everything was perfect. Can't wait for you to see the photos I took of all the decorations. Destiny stared at the message, seeing it now as a performance of gratitude rather than genuine appreciation. How many times had Simone thanked her for things she didn't actually want? How many times had Destiny mistaken politeness for enthusiasm? She typed back, "So glad you enjoyed it," and left it at that. No heart emojis, no detailed follow-up about specific moments from the day, no immediate suggestions for the next event they needed to plan. It felt strange to send such a short response, but it also felt like a small step toward becoming the kind of friend Simone apparently needed her to be. The next morning, Destiny woke up with a plan. She was going to give Simone exactly what she wanted: space. Not in a dramatic, passive-aggressive way, but in a genuine attempt to see if their friendship could survive with less intensity from her side. She started by removing all the wedding-related items from her kitchen table, where she had been keeping track of final details and countdown timelines. She put the thick planning binder in her closet out of sight. She deleted the wedding countdown app from her phone and removed the daily reminders she had set for various tasks. Instead of texting Simone her usual, "Good morning. Hope you have a beautiful day," message, she stayed quiet and waited to see if Simone would reach out first. By noon, her phone was silent. At work, she found herself paying attention to her interactions with colleagues in a new way. When her assistant mentioned being stressed about a presentation, Destiny's first instinct was to offer to help review it and provide feedback. Instead, she caught herself and simply said, "That sounds stressful. I hope it goes well." The assistant looked surprised by the lack of follow-up, but didn't push for more support. During a team meeting, when someone mentioned struggling with a client proposal, Destiny bit back her usual flood of suggestions and resources. She sat quietly, letting others offer input, watching how the conversation flowed without her immediate attempts to solve the problem. It felt unnatural, like holding her breath or walking backwards. Every instinct told her to jump in, to help, to fix, to improve. But she was learning to recognize the difference between what felt natural to her and what might actually be welcome to others. By Wednesday, she still hadn't heard from Simone. This was unusual. They typically texted several times throughout the week, sharing work stories or random thoughts or photos of things that reminded them of each other. The silence felt loud and strange. Destiny found herself checking her phone constantly, wondering if she had somehow missed a message. She drafted several texts to Simone throughout the day but deleted each one before sending it. This was what space looked like, she reminded herself. This was what Simone had asked for, even if she hadn't asked directly. On Thursday evening, she ran into Simone's mother at the grocery store. "Destiny?" Mrs. Roberts called out from the produce section, waving enthusiastically. "I was just thinking about you. That shower you threw for Simone was absolutely beautiful. She hasn't stopped talking about how perfect everything was." "Thank you, Mrs. Roberts. I'm just glad she had a good time." "A good time?" Honey, she was glowing. "She said you thought of every little detail, from the music to the decorations to the food. That girl is so lucky to have a friend like you." Destiny smiled politely, but inside she felt confused. If Simone had been telling her mother how wonderful everything was, why had she been complaining about Destiny's involvement to her cousin? "How are the final wedding preparations going?" Mrs. Roberts continued. "I know you've been such a help to Simone with all the planning. Actually, I'm trying to step back a bit and let Simone handle things herself," Destiny said carefully. "It's her special day and I want to make sure she gets to experience it the way she wants to." Mrs. Roberts looked puzzled. "Step back? But honey, you're the maid of honor. You're supposed to be helping her with everything." I think she needs some space to make her own decisions without me being so involved." "That doesn't sound like Simone at all." That girl has been relying on you for everything since you were children. Remember when she was too shy to order her own food at restaurants? You always had to do it for her. The memory hit Destiny unexpectedly. She had forgotten about Simone's childhood shyness, how she used to hide behind Destiny in social situations and depend on her to be the brave one, the outgoing one, the one who made things happen. People change, Destiny said softly. Well, I suppose they do. But I hope you two aren't having any problems. You've been like family to us for so long. No problems, Mrs. Roberts. Just giving each other some space. As Destiny drove home with her groceries, she thought about what Mrs. Roberts had said about Simone's shyness. When had that changed? When had Simone become confident enough to not need Destiny's help with everything? Maybe that was part of the problem. Maybe Destiny had continued offering help long after Simone had grown past needing it, and neither of them had recognized the shift. That night, she looked through old photos on her phone, scrolling back through years of friendship. There was middle school Simone, awkward and uncertain, always slightly behind Destiny in pictures. High school Simone, prettier but still deferring to Destiny's confidence in social situations. College Simone, growing into herself but still calling Destiny for advice about everything from boys to course selections. But somewhere in the more recent photos, Destiny could see the change. Adult Simone looked comfortable and self-assured. She wasn't hiding behind anyone anymore. She had her own opinions, her own style, her own life that she was perfectly capable of managing. The realization was both heartbreaking and liberating. Her best friend had grown up, had become the confident, capable woman she was meant to be. But Destiny had kept treating her like the shy 7-year-old who needed someone else to speak up for her. No wonder Simone felt suffocated. Destiny had been loving the person Simone used to be instead of the person she had become. Friday afternoon brought the kind of Atlanta thunderstorm that made the whole city slow down and pay attention. Destiny sat at her office window, watching rain streak down the glass and thinking about how quiet her phone had been all week. No texts from Simone, no wedding-related emergencies, no casual check-ins that had been such a constant part of their friendship that she had never noticed them until they stopped. This was what space looked like, apparently. Empty and echoing and strangely lonely. Her coworker Jasmine knocked on her cubicle wall, holding 2 cups of coffee from the break room. "You look like you need this," she said, offering one of the cups. "Thanks." Destiny accepted the coffee gratefully. "Long week. Want to talk about it? You've been pretty quiet lately, which is not like you at all." Jasmine was right. Destiny was usually the one initiating conversations, asking about people's weekends, remembering birthdays and work anniversaries. This week she had been polite but distant, speaking when spoken to but not driving the social energy of their small marketing team the way she normally did. "Just processing some things," Destiny said. "Sometimes you realize you need to change how you interact with people." "What do you mean?" Destiny hesitated. She hadn't told anyone about what she'd overheard at the shower, hadn't even fully admitted to herself how much it had shaken her understanding of herself and her relationships. "I think I might be too involved in other people's lives sometimes," she said carefully. "Too helpful, too much." Jasmine raised an eyebrow. "Girl, you're the most thoughtful person I know. When my grandmother was sick last month, you brought me lunch every day for a week without me even asking. When Derek was stressed about his presentation to the board, you stayed late to help him practice. That's not being too much, that's being a good friend. But what if people feel obligated to accept help they don't actually want? What if they're too polite to tell me to back off? Then that's their problem for not being honest about what they need." It was similar to what her mother had said, but it didn't make Destiny feel any better. She was starting to realize that intent didn't always matter as much as impact, and the impact of her caring might not always be what she intended. "Has anyone ever told you that your help felt overwhelming?" Destiny asked. Jasmine considered the question seriously. "You know, my sister said something like that to me once. She told me I gave too much advice when she just wanted me to listen. It hurt my feelings at first, but then I realized she was right. I was so focused on trying to fix her problems that I wasn't actually hearing what she was telling me." "What did you do about it?" "I learned to ask what kind of support she wanted. Like, do you want me to help you brainstorm solutions or do you just need someone to vent to?" It made a big difference. Destiny nodded, filing the advice away. But her situation with Simone felt more complicated than that. It wasn't just about offering the wrong kind of support, it was about Simone feeling like Destiny's entire presence had become overwhelming. After work, she drove home through the storm, windshield wipers working overtime against the heavy rain. Her apartment felt especially quiet when she walked in, the silence amplified by the sound of rain against the windows. She was heating up leftover soup for dinner when her phone finally rang. Simone's name appeared on the screen, and Destiny felt her heart jump. "Hey girl," Simone's voice sounded normal, cheerful even. "I know it's last minute, but David and I are going to that new Ethiopian place on Ponce tonight. Want to join us?" It was such a casual invitation, so typical of their friendship, that for a moment Destiny forgot about everything she had overheard. This was how it had always been: spontaneous dinners, last-minute invitations, the assumption that they would want to include each other in their plans. "Oh," Destiny said, caught off guard. I already made dinner, so I think I'll pass tonight. But thanks for thinking of me. Are you sure? It's just soup, right? You could always save it for tomorrow." The fact that Simone knew what she was eating should have felt normal, but instead it highlighted how much they knew about each other's daily routines. How much space was there really in a friendship where your best friend could predict what you were having for dinner on a rainy Friday night? "I'm sure. You two have fun though." "Okay." Simone's voice carried a note of confusion. "Is everything all right? You've been kind of quiet this week." There it was, the opening to have the conversation they needed to have. Destiny could tell Simone what she'd overheard, could ask about the maid of honor situation, could try to understand where their friendship stood. Instead she chose safety. "Everything's fine. Just a busy week at work. I'm looking forward to a quiet night in." "All right if you're sure. I'll call you this weekend and we can catch up properly." After they hung up, Destiny sat at her kitchen table with her soup, wondering if she had just made things worse by being distant or if she was finally giving Simone the space she wanted. The line between giving someone space and withdrawing from the relationship entirely was thinner than she had expected. Saturday morning brought sunshine and the kind of clear skies that made Atlanta feel like paradise. Destiny's phone buzzed with a text from her mother. "Beautiful day for the farmer's market. Want to come with me?" Destiny had been going to the Grant Park Farmers Market with her mother almost every Saturday for the past 3 years. It was their tradition, their time to catch up and enjoy each other's company while picking out fresh vegetables and locally made honey. But today the invitation made her pause. Was this another example of her being too involved, too present in someone else's routine? Did her mother invite her because she genuinely wanted company, or because she felt obligated by their established pattern? She texted back, "I think I'll skip today, Mama. Enjoy the beautiful weather." Her phone rang immediately. "Destiny? What's wrong, baby?" "Nothing's wrong. I just thought maybe you'd like to go by yourself for once." "Why would I want to go by myself when I could go with my daughter?" "I don't know. Maybe you'd enjoy the freedom to browse at your own pace, talk to whoever you want without worrying about entertaining me." Regina was quiet for a moment. "Sweetheart, you don't entertain me. You're my companion. There's a difference." "How do you know the difference?" "Because when you entertain someone, you're performing for them. When you're someone's companion, you're just present. You're sharing the experience." "But what if my presence changes your experience? What if you would have different conversations or make different choices if I wasn't there?" "Of course my experience is different when you're there. That's the point. I like my experience better when I get to share it with you." Destiny felt tears prick her eyes. What if someone you loved told you that sharing experiences with you felt overwhelming to them? The silence stretched longer this time. "Is this about Simone?" Regina asked gently. "Maybe. Baby, come to the market with me. Let's talk about this in person." An hour later they were walking between vendor stalls, the morning sun warm on their faces and the smell of fresh peaches and homemade bread filling the air. Regina had linked her arm through Destiny's, a gesture so natural and familiar that it made Destiny's chest ache. "Tell me what's really going on," Regina said as they stopped at a booth selling local honey. Destiny found herself explaining everything: the conversation she'd overheard, Simone's complaints about feeling suffocated, the possibility of losing her maid of honor position, her own confusion about how to be a good friend without being too much. Regina listened without interrupting, occasionally squeezing Destiny's arm in support. When the story was finished, they walked in silence for a few minutes, processing the weight of it all. "I need to ask you something," Regina finally said. "And I want you to be completely honest with me." "Okay. Do you think Simone is right? Do you think you've been overwhelming her?" Destiny considered the question seriously. I think I've been loving her the way I wanted to be loved instead of the way she wanted to be loved. And maybe those aren't the same thing." "That's a very mature insight. But I don't know how to change it without changing who I am. Like, if caring too much is my problem, how do I care less without becoming someone cold and indifferent?" They stopped at a booth selling handmade jewelry, and Regina picked up a simple silver necklace, turning it over in her hands. "When you were little," Regina said. You used to follow me around the house constantly. Every room I went into, you were right behind me. If I was cooking, you wanted to help. If I was cleaning, you wanted to clean too. If I was reading, you wanted to sit in my lap and hear the story. Was I annoying? Sometimes, Regina admitted with a smile. Especially when I was trying to get things done quickly or have a few minutes to myself. But I realized that you weren't following me around because you wanted to control what I was doing. You were following me around because you wanted to be connected to me. What's the difference? The difference is motivation. Control comes from anxiety, from needing things to be a certain way to feel safe. Connection comes from love, from wanting to share experiences with the people who matter to you. Regina bought the silver necklace and handed it to Destiny. I think you need to figure out which one drives your behavior with Simone. Are you trying to control her experiences because you're anxious about something, or are you trying to connect with her because you love her? Destiny fastened the necklace around her neck, the silver cool against her skin. What if it's both? Then you need to address the anxiety part while protecting the love part. They walked toward the car, arms full of fresh vegetables and local bread. As they loaded everything into Regina's trunk, Destiny's phone buzzed with a text from Simone. Just had the most amazing breakfast at this little cafe in Virginia Highland. Made me think of you because they had those lavender scones you love. Hope you're having a good Saturday. The text was accompanied by a photo of a perfectly plated scone with clotted cream and jam. It was exactly the kind of thoughtful message that had always made their friendship feel special, Simone thinking of her during her own experiences, wanting to share small moments of joy. But now Destiny wondered, was this message genuine connection, or was Simone performing the friendship she thought Destiny expected? She's thinking about you, Regina observed, reading over Destiny's shoulder. Or she feels guilty for complaining about me and she's overcompensating. Baby, you can't live in someone else's head like that. You can't analyze every interaction to figure out their real motivation. That's a recipe for driving yourself crazy. Destiny typed back, looks delicious. Glad you're having a nice morning, and put her phone away. That afternoon she made a decision. She was going to have the conversation with Simone that they both needed to have. Not confrontational, not accusatory, but honest. She was going to ask directly about the maid of honor situation and about how Simone really felt about their friendship. She was tired of guessing and analyzing and trying to read between the lines. If their friendship was going to survive this, it needed to be built on honesty instead of assumptions. But first, she needed to figure out what she actually wanted from the conversation. Did she want to fight for her position as maid of honor? Did she want to defend herself against Simone's complaints? Did she want an apology? Or did she want something deeper, a friendship that could handle truth and growth and change? As she sat in her apartment that evening, watching the sun set over the Atlanta skyline, Destiny realized that she didn't just want to solve this problem with Simone. She wanted to understand herself better, to figure out how to love people in ways that felt good to them instead of ways that felt necessary to her. It was going to be a difficult conversation, but for the first time since the shower, she felt ready to have it. Sunday morning she texted Simone, "Are you free for coffee this afternoon? I'd like to talk." The response came quickly, "Of course. Everything okay?" "Everything's fine. Just some things we should discuss." "Okay. Want to come over around 2? David will be at his brother's place watching the game." "Perfect. See you then." Destiny spent the rest of the morning thinking about what she wanted to say, how she wanted to approach the conversation, what outcome she was hoping for. She didn't want to attack Simone or make her feel defensive. She didn't want to create more distance between them. She wanted to understand. She wanted to be understood. And she wanted to figure out if their friendship could evolve into something that worked for both of them. At 1:45 she drove to Simone's house, her heart beating fast with nervous energy. The conversation she was about to have would either repair their friendship or end it. Either way, she was done pretending everything was fine when it clearly wasn't. Simone's house looked exactly the same as it had a week ago, but everything felt different to Destiny as she walked up the front steps. The same peach-colored door, the same potted plants flanking the entrance, the same welcome mat that said "blessed" in elegant script. But now these familiar details felt like artifacts from a different era of their friendship. Simone opened the door wearing a soft yellow sundress, her hair pulled back in a casual ponytail. She looked relaxed and beautiful, and for a moment Destiny felt a pang of uncertainty about disrupting this peaceful Sunday afternoon with difficult truths. "Hey girl," Simone said, stepping aside to let Destiny in. "I made some iced tea. Figured we could sit on the back porch since it's so nice out." The back porch had always been their space for serious conversations. It's where Simone had cried about her father's diagnosis 3 years ago, where they had talked through Destiny's breakup with Marcus 2 summers back, where they had dreamed about their futures and shared their deepest fears. They settled into the wicker chairs with their glasses of sweet tea, the afternoon sun filtering through the oak trees and casting dancing shadows across the wooden deck. Birds chirped in the distance, and somewhere a neighbor was grilling, the smell of barbecue drifting on the warm breeze. "So," Simone said, tucking one leg underneath her, "what's on your mind? You sounded serious in your text." Destiny took a sip of her tea, gathering her courage. She had rehearsed this conversation in her head a dozen times, but now that they were here face to face, the words felt heavier than she had expected. "I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest with me," Destiny said. "Even if you think it might hurt my feelings." Simone's expression shifted slightly, wariness creeping into her eyes. "Okay. Do you still want me to be your maid of honor?" The question hung in the air between them like a challenge. Simone's face went through several expressions: surprise, confusion, something that might have been guilt. "What kind of question is that? Of course I want you to be my maid of honor. Why would you even ask that?" "Because I overheard you talking to Candace at the shower last week." The words came out more bluntly than Destiny had intended, and she watched Simone's face change as the meaning sank in. First confusion, then realization, then something that looked like panic. "What did you hear?" Simone asked quietly. "I heard you say that you don't know if you want me as your maid of honor anymore. I heard you say that I'm overwhelming and controlling and that I turned your shower into the Destiny show. I heard you say that you want your wedding to feel like yours instead of feeling like something I'm throwing for you." Each sentence felt like a physical weight leaving Destiny's chest. She had carried these words around for a week, and finally speaking them aloud brought both relief and terror. Simone closed her eyes and leaned back in her chair. "Oh God. Destiny, I'm not angry," Destiny said quickly. "I mean, I was hurt when I first heard it, but mostly I just want to understand. Because if that's how you really feel, then we need to talk about it. You were pretending to be asleep. I wasn't pretending at first. I really did fall asleep on your couch. But then I woke up and heard you talking, and I didn't know how to let you know I was awake without making it awkward." Simone opened her eyes and looked at Destiny with an expression that was part guilt, part relief. "How much did you hear?" "Enough to know that you think I'm suffocating you. Enough to know that you've been feeling this way for a while but haven't said anything to me about it." They sat in silence for a moment, the weight of honesty settling between them. A blue jay landed on the porch railing, watched them for a few seconds, then flew away. "I don't know how to have this conversation," Simone said finally. "Neither do I. But I think we have to try." Simone set down her tea glass and turned to face Destiny fully. "You're right that I've been feeling overwhelmed. But it's not because I don't love you or appreciate everything you do." "Then what is it?" "It's because." Simone struggled with the words. "It's because sometimes I feel like I disappear when you're around. Like you're so good at everything, so organized and thoughtful and perfect, that there's no room for me to be anything but grateful." The words hit Destiny differently than she had expected. She had been prepared for criticism about being controlling or overwhelming, but this felt deeper and more painful. "I don't understand. Like the shower last week. You planned every detail, you coordinated with all the guests, you made sure everything was beautiful and perfect. And it was perfect. But I didn't get to plan any of it myself. I didn't get to choose the decorations or the menu or the activities. I just got to show up and be grateful for what you created. But you seemed overwhelmed by all the wedding planning. I thought I was helping by taking things off your plate. I was overwhelmed, but that doesn't mean I wanted you to take over everything. Sometimes being overwhelmed is part of the experience. Sometimes you want to struggle through the decisions yourself, even if the end result isn't as perfect as what someone else would have created for you." Destiny felt like she was learning a foreign language. The idea that someone would want to struggle through something when help was available didn't make sense to her. "So when I help you, I'm actually taking something away from you?" "Not always. But sometimes, yes. Like when we went dress shopping, and you had already researched all the boutiques and made appointments and created a schedule for the day. You had opinions about every dress I tried on, and you kept steering me toward the styles you thought would look best on me. Because I wanted you to find the perfect dress. But what if I wanted to wander into shops randomly and try on dresses that might not be perfect? What if I wanted to make some mistakes and figure out what I liked by discovering what I didn't like?" Destiny thought about that day, remembering how proud she had been of her organizational skills, how she had made sure they hit all the best shops and didn't waste time. She had seen efficiency and helpfulness. Simone had experience being managed. "I thought I was being a good friend. Destiny said softly. You were being a good friend. That's what makes this so hard. Everything you do comes from love, and it's all genuinely helpful. But sometimes I feel like I'm living in a world where you've solved all the problems before I even knew they existed. A memory surfaced in Destiny's mind, being 8 years old and putting together a puzzle with her grandmother. She had been excited to help, grabbing pieces and trying to force them into place. Her grandmother had gently moved her hands away and said, "Baby, sometimes the joy is in figuring it out yourself even if it takes longer." "Why didn't you tell me this before?" Destiny asked. "Because how do you tell someone you love that their love feels like too much? How do you say, 'Stop being so thoughtful,' without sounding ungrateful? How do you ask someone to care less about you? You don't ask me to care less. You ask me to care differently." Simone looked surprised. "What do you mean?" "My mom told me something yesterday about the difference between control and connection. She said control comes from anxiety but connection comes from love. I think I've been trying to control your experiences because I was anxious about whether they would be good enough, instead of just connecting with you through whatever experiences you chose to have." "That actually makes sense. So what do you need from me? As your friend, and as your maid of honor if you still want me to be?" Simone was quiet for a long moment, considering the question. "I need you to ask me what I want before you start planning or organizing or solving. I need you to be okay with me choosing things that aren't perfect or optimal. And I need you to trust that I can handle my own life, even if I handle it differently than you would. And what if you make choices that I think are mistakes? Then you let me make them. And if they really are mistakes, you help me deal with the consequences instead of trying to prevent them." It was a fundamentally different approach to friendship than Destiny had ever practiced. She had always believed that love meant protecting people from unnecessary struggles, smoothing their paths, anticipating their needs. But Simone was asking for something else entirely. "Can I ask you something now?" Simone said. "Of course." "Why is it so important to you to fix everything for everyone?" The question caught Destiny off guard. She had never thought about her helpfulness as something that needed explaining. I guess I like making people happy. I like solving problems and making things better." "But why? What are you afraid will happen if you don't?" Destiny felt something shift inside her chest, like a door she hadn't known existed was creaking open. "I don't know," she said honestly. "Maybe I'm afraid that if I'm not useful, people won't want me around." The admission surprised her as much as it seemed to surprise Simone. "Destiny," Simone said gently, "I don't love you because you're useful. I love you because you're you. Because you're funny and loyal and you remember everyone's birthday and you cry at commercials and you sing along to the radio even though you can't carry a tune. But those aren't helpful things. So what? Love isn't just about being helpful. It's about being yourself with someone who accepts all of who you are." Destiny felt tears starting to fall and she didn't try to stop them. "I think I forgot how to just be myself without doing something for someone. Then maybe it's time to remember." They sat together as the afternoon sun shifted through the trees, both of them crying a little, both of them relieved to finally be having the conversation they should have had months ago. "I do want you to be my maid of honor," Simone said eventually. "But I want you to be my maid of honor, not my wedding coordinator. I want you standing next to me because you're my best friend, not because you planned the perfect day." "What does that look like practically?" "It looks like you asking me what I need instead of anticipating what I might need. It looks like you supporting the choices I make instead of trying to influence them. It looks like you being present with me instead of trying to manage everything around me." "And the bachelorette party?" Simone grimaced slightly. "Can we talk about that? Because I know you put a lot of work into planning it, but I was kind of hoping for something more low-key." "What did you have in mind?" "Honestly, I was thinking maybe just a spa day with a few of my closest friends. Nothing scheduled, no activities planned. Just relaxation and girl talk." A week ago, Destiny would have been hurt by this request. She would have seen it as a rejection of all her hard work and thoughtful planning. But now she could see it differently. "That sounds perfect," she said. "I'll cancel the Savannah reservations and look into spa options instead." "Actually," Simone said carefully, "could I maybe handle that part? I know you've already done so much, but I think I'd like to plan this one myself." It was a test, Destiny realized. A chance to show that she could really step back and let Simone take the lead. "Of course," Destiny said and meant it. "Just let me know what you need from me and I'll follow your lead." "Really? Really? I want to learn how to be the kind of friend you need me to be." Simone reached across the space between their chairs and took Destiny's hand. "I don't need you to be different. I just need you to trust me more." "I can do that." And I need to do better at telling you what I want instead of just going along with whatever you suggest. Deal. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, they talked about the wedding with a new kind of honesty. Simone shared what she actually wanted for her ceremony and reception, some of which was different from what they had been planning. Destiny listened without offering suggestions or improvements, just taking in her friend's vision and figuring out how to support it rather than enhance it. It felt strange and uncomfortable at first, like learning to write with her non-dominant hand. But gradually, Destiny began to see the beauty in Simone's choices, even the ones she wouldn't have made herself. "Thank you," Simone said as they were cleaning up their glasses. "For bringing this up, for having this conversation. I know it couldn't have been easy. Thank you for being honest with me. Even though it hurt to hear some of it, I needed to know." "Are we okay?" Simone asked, and Destiny could hear the vulnerability in her voice. "We're better than okay. We're honest." Driving home that evening, Destiny felt lighter than she had in weeks. The friendship she had been afraid of losing had actually become stronger by being tested. She and Simone still had work to do, new patterns to establish, old habits to break. But for the first time in a long time, Destiny felt like she knew who she was supposed to be in this relationship. Not perfect, not indispensable, not always helpful. Just herself. And apparently that was enough. 3 weeks later, Destiny stood in the bride's dressing room at the historic Swan House, watching Simone put on her wedding dress for the final time. The morning light streamed through tall windows, casting everything in a golden glow that made Simone look like she was standing inside a fairy tale. "Can you help me with these buttons?" Simone asked, turning her back to Destiny. "Of course," Destiny replied, her fingers working carefully up the long row of tiny pearl buttons. "You look absolutely beautiful, Simone." "I feel beautiful," Simone said, and her voice carried a contentment that Destiny hadn't heard in months. "I feel like myself." The dress was the one Simone had chosen during their second shopping trip, the one where Destiny had kept her opinions to herself and let her friend discover what she truly wanted. It wasn't the dress Destiny would have picked, but seeing Simone in it now, radiant with confidence and joy, Destiny understood that her opinion had never been the one that mattered. "Nervous?" Destiny asked, smoothing the train of the dress. "A little. But good nervous, you know? Like butterflies instead of panic." Destiny did know. She had been feeling her own version of good nervous about today, excited to stand beside her best friend, but no longer anxious about every detail being perfect. Simone had planned a beautiful wedding that reflected her and David's personalities rather than Destiny's organizational skills, and it was going to be wonderful in ways that Destiny never could have orchestrated. The bachelorette party the weekend before had been exactly what Simone wanted, a peaceful day at a spa outside the city, with just 4 close friends talking and laughing and enjoying each other's company without any scheduled activities or elaborate plans. Destiny had brought a book and had been perfectly content to read by the pool while others got massages, participating when she felt like it and giving Simone space when she didn't. It had been the most relaxing bachelorette party Destiny had ever attended, precisely because she hadn't planned it. "Is my mom here yet?" Simone asked, checking her reflection in the full-length mirror. "She got here about 10 minutes ago. She's in the kitchen making sure the caterers have everything they need." Simone laughed. "Some things never change. She's probably reorganizing their entire setup." Actually, she looked pretty relaxed. "I think she's just excited to see you get married." A knock on the door interrupted them and Candace peeked her head in. 5 minutes until family photos," she announced. "Thank you," Simone called back, then turned to Destiny. "Are you ready for this?" "Are you?" "I really am. I know this sounds silly, but I feel like today is the first day of my life that's completely mine, you know? Like I chose everything about it, the dress, the flowers, the music, even the way I'm feeling right now. Does that make sense?" It made perfect sense to Destiny, even though it stung a little to realize how much of Simone's life had felt influenced by other people's choices. "It makes complete sense. And I'm honored to be part of a day that's so authentically you." They walked together toward the main hall, where the ceremony would take place in an hour. The decorations were simple and elegant, white flowers with greenery, candles in mason jars, fairy lights strung overhead. It was beautiful without being elaborate, personal without being overly themed. Destiny had learned to appreciate the difference between beautiful and perfect, and today was definitely beautiful. "Destiny?" Mrs. Roberts appeared beside them, looking elegant in her mother-of-the-bride dress. "Don't you look lovely? That shade of blue is perfect on you." "Thank you, Mrs. Roberts. You look beautiful too." "I wanted to thank you," Mrs. Roberts continued, for everything you've done to support Simone through this whole process. She told me how thoughtful you've been about letting her make her own choices while still being there when she needed you. Destiny felt a warm glow at the words. Being recognized for stepping back rather than stepping forward felt like a new kind of accomplishment. She's my best friend. I just want her to be happy. Well, she certainly is that. Come on, girls, let's get these photos done before the guests start arriving. The family photos were relaxed and joyful, with none of the stress that usually accompanied wedding day timelines. Simone had built buffer time into the schedule and had explicitly told everyone that candid shots were more important than perfect poses. Destiny found herself actually enjoying the process instead of managing it, laughing at Simone's jokes and making silly faces when the photographer encouraged them to be natural. "Now just the bride and maid of honor," the photographer called out. As they posed together, Simone whispered, "Thank you for fighting for our friendship. Thank you for helping me learn how to be a better friend. I love you, Destiny. Not because you're perfect, but because you're perfectly you. I love you too. And I'm proud of the woman you've become." The photographer captured the moment, two best friends, changed by honesty and strengthened by truth, ready to celebrate love in all its imperfect beauty. As guests began to arrive, Destiny took her position at the back of the ceremony space, watching Simone greet friends and family with genuine excitement. There was no frantic last-minute coordination, no emergency touch-ups or schedule adjustments. Everything was flowing naturally the way Simone had wanted it to. Pastor Davis approached Destiny with a warm smile. "Beautiful day for a wedding, isn't it?" "The most beautiful," Destiny agreed. Simone looked so happy. "She does indeed. And you look peaceful, child. I remember at your mother's anniversary party last year, you were running around making sure every detail was perfect. Today you seem more present." "I'm learning the difference between helping and controlling," Destiny said. "Turns out there's a lot more joy in just being present. That's wisdom worth celebrating." The ceremony itself was everything Simone had dreamed of: intimate, meaningful, filled with laughter and tears in equal measure. Destiny stood beside her best friend, holding her bouquet and witnessing the promises being made, feeling grateful to be exactly where she was without needing to be anywhere else. When David kissed his bride and they were pronounced husband and wife, Destiny cheered along with everyone else, her heart full of joy for their happiness rather than pride in her own contributions to the day. During the reception, she danced with friends, enjoyed the food she hadn't planned, and participated in conversations she wasn't facilitating. It was liberating to be a guest at the celebration rather than its coordinator. "You seem different tonight," Jasmine from work observed as they sat together during dinner. "Relaxed. I feel different. I'm learning how to just enjoy things instead of trying to improve them. That's a good lesson for all of us." Later, as the evening was winding down, Destiny found herself on the terrace with Simone. Both of them kicked back in chairs with their shoes off and their hair slightly messed from dancing. "Best wedding ever," Simone declared, a glass of champagne in her hand. "It really was. Everything was perfect." "Not perfect," Simone corrected with a smile. "The flowers were a little wilted by the end. Uncle Jerome told that same embarrassing story about David in his speech, and my dress has a small tear from dancing. But it was real and it was ours and it was exactly what I wanted." "Then it was perfect," Destiny said, understanding finally that perfection had nothing to do with flawless execution and everything to do with authentic experience. "I have something for you," Simone said, reaching into her small bridal purse. She pulled out a small wrapped box. "A thank you gift." "Simone, you didn't need to. Just open it." Inside the box was a silver bracelet with two charms, a heart and a key. Simple, elegant, meaningful. "The heart is for our friendship," Simone explained. "And the key is for helping me unlock the confidence to be myself, even when that meant asking you to step back." Destiny felt tears prick her eyes as she fastened the bracelet around her wrist. "It's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for loving me enough to change how you love me." They sat together in comfortable silence, watching the last few guests dance inside through the glass doors. David appeared and beckoned to Simone. "I think that's my cue," Simone said, standing and smoothing down her dress. "Time for the grand exit." "Go be married," Destiny said with a laugh. "I'll see you when you get back from your honeymoon." "Actually," Simone paused, "I was thinking when we get back, maybe we could have coffee and you could tell me about this new guy your mom mentioned you've been talking to." "How did my mom?" "Never mind." "Yes, I'd love to tell you about him. His name is Anthony and he's interesting. I can't wait to hear about him." "And Destiny?" "I want to hear about him because I'm your friend and I care about your life, Not because I need to approve of your choices or give you advice about how to handle the relationship. Perfect. And I want to tell you about him because I'm excited, not because I need you to validate my feelings or help me analyze every text message. Look at us being all healthy and mature. I know, right? It's weird but good. They hugged, and this time it felt different from all their previous hugs. Lighter somehow. More honest. I love you, best friend, Simone said. I love you too. Now go start your new life. Destiny watched from the terrace as Simone and David made their exit through a tunnel of sparklers held by their guests. The sight was magical and joyful, and Destiny felt purely happy for them without any need to document the moment or make sure everything was going according to plan. As she drove home later that night, still wearing her bridesmaid dress and thinking about the beauty of the day, Destiny realized that this was what growth felt like. Not dramatic transformation but small adjustments that added up to a completely different way of being in the world. She thought about Anthony, the marketing consultant she had met at a coffee shop 2 weeks ago. Their first date had been refreshingly normal. No research beforehand, no carefully planned conversation topics, no attempts to impress him with her organizational skills. Just two people getting to know each other without any agenda beyond enjoying each other's company. He had texted her during the wedding, "Hope your friend's day is everything she dreamed of. Can't wait to hear about it tomorrow." Simple, supportive, with no expectation of immediate response or detailed updates. It was the kind of text from the kind of person who understood that relationships worked best when people were allowed to be themselves without management or improvement. Destiny smiled, thinking about how much she was looking forward to telling him about the wedding, about Simone's happiness, about her own journey toward becoming someone who could love people without trying to fix them. The night was clear and warm, and Atlanta's skyline glittered in the distance as she drove through the quiet streets toward home. She felt grateful for everything, for the friendship that had survived honesty, for the lessons learned through pain, for the possibility of love that didn't require perfection. At a red light, she looked at the silver bracelet on her wrist, the heart and key catching the glow from the streetlights. Tomorrow she would start a new week with a new understanding of herself and her relationships. She would go to work and be helpful without being overwhelming. She would check in with friends without managing their lives. She would love people by accepting them rather than trying to improve them. It wouldn't be easy. 28 years of habits don't change overnight. But tonight, for the first time in her adult life, Destiny felt like she knew the difference between being needed and being wanted, between being helpful and being present, between loving someone and letting them be loved. The light turned green and she drove toward home, toward the quiet apartment where she was learning to be enough just as she was, toward a future where her relationships could grow and change and deepen without her needing to control every detail. Behind her, the wedding venue grew smaller in her rearview mirror, but the joy of the evening stayed with her. She had stood beside her best friend and witnessed something beautiful and authentic, and she had contributed to that beauty simply by being herself rather than trying to be perfect. It was, she thought as she pulled into her parking space, the most perfect imperfection she had ever experienced. And as she walked up the stairs to her apartment, her phone buzzed with a text from Anthony. "Hope the wedding was magical. Looking forward to our coffee date tomorrow. I want to hear all about it." Destiny smiled, typed back, "It was perfect in all the best ways. Can't wait to tell you about it," and went inside to begin the rest of her beautifully imperfect life. The silver bracelet caught the moonlight through her bedroom window as she got ready for bed, and for the first time in years, Destiny Clark fell asleep without planning tomorrow, without reviewing today's events for ways they could have been better, without mentally organizing anyone else's life. She simply felt grateful for the love she had received and given, for the friendship that had grown stronger through truth, and for the woman she was becoming, someone who could care deeply without controlling completely, someone who could love fully without losing herself. In her dreams that night, she was 7 years old again, riding bikes with Simone through their neighborhood, both of them laughing and free, with no destination in mind and no need to arrive anywhere except exactly where they were meant to be.